All right, we are back with another Dokkan Then versus Now. This is the second year edition featuring characters who released between the end of the first year of Dokkan and the beginning of the second year. And starting off, we will be talking about Vegito Blue, specifically the physical Vegito Blue, who, when he got his initial EZA, he was so dominant. He was easily the best EZA TUR in the game, and he would just like. I remember taking him into like Battlefield, and he would solo the boss by himself with those very damaging counters. It was like very beneficial to go like full crit on this guy with the counters because they used to do so much damage. And I mean, when he came out and it was just him staring down AGL Rose, it was definitely like one of the coolest moments in Dokkan, in early Dokkan especially. I think the modern day counterpart to our physical Blue Vegito is the AGL LR Blue Vegito, who was featured in the 2023 Worldwide Download Celebration. Uh, and this character has been memed upon pretty heavily since he's come out. This character's definitely become a bit of a laughing stock, but I think that's mainly for the base form of just the AGL, Goku, the blue Goku and the blue Vegeta. The we Saiyans have no limits. But this guy, he's not as good, but he was pretty good. I mean, when he came out, he was definitely the best unit in the game. Like at least his transform state, he was able to go slot one and just tank and had damage reduction, counter or not counters, but he had damage reduction and guard and he just really did well, and he could just super like a billion times. So I think in that sense, they both did kind of have like a similar thing going on because both of them could just like solo the boss with just an overwhelming amount of offense. And since this guy has kind of aged out, I think you could also say that the modern day counterpart to this Vegito is probably the the new 10th anniversary LR Super Vegito, who is just everything a Vegito character should be. I mean, he can just obliterate the boss. He has counters, he has guard, he has damage reduction, he has crits, a taunt. It's just he's just too good. And I think if you don't want to talk about AGL Vegito, then you can definitely sub him in for the Super Vegito or sub him out. And now, of course, next we got to get to the Int Ultimate Gohan. Now, Int Ultimate Gohan just did get his Super EZA, and recently, and it made him pretty good as like functioning as like a kind of a slot three, kind of someone who can dodge and guard against normals, and then dodge like a super attack or something. So he's pretty good in that sense. And this AGLR Ultimate Gohan, I think, didn't get as much. He didn't get that much of a attention on the guy because he came out, I believe, a little bit after the Golden Week celebration of last year, and he basically functions almost as just a more defensive, uh, but still offensively oriented character. And what I mean by that is like he's kind of like a modern day, at least modern for the time, LR SGR Cooler, who LR SGR Cooler was, complete offensive, just beast straight up. And this guy, he also did like very similar things with just, he could stack attack, but he also stacks defense, which is cooler, which is something Cooler did not do. Um, but he can also fire off a bunch of supers, and he had like a lot of defensive support, and he was guarding and all this and all that. So I think he did kind of end up becoming like kind of like an STR cooler release, but he flew a little bit under the radar, and he's not that great right now. So if you want to, say a character who could maybe represent Gohan a little bit better, you could probably look to LR Beast Gohan, who, I mean, of course, is just like invincible, basically, in like any short form content. And he's just, he's still just so useful even today, even a full year after he's come out. And the next character is going to be, yes, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. It's pretty crazy that we're getting another Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta at Dokkan Fest. I certainly did not think that would be happening, but here we are. Um, Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, of course, when he came out, he was just a defensive beast. Nothing could penetrate his defenses. He had 80% damage reduction, and that was just, it was so crazy at the time. And, all these years later, he's finally gotten his Super EZA alongside the release of the new Daima Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And his his Super Easy A, I don't think is that crazy, but he's still very useful for slot one defenses. And I think the modern day counterpart has to be the newly released Daima Vegeta, who is of course in the Super Saiyan 3 form as well. An interesting thing is that Vegeta's Super Saiyan 3 form in the Daima series, the hair just spikes up instead of draping over his back like how it like looked in like Dokkan and Heroes and stuff. But yeah, the Super Saiyan 3 mini Vegeta Daima, he is pretty good in like short form content. I mean, he's like especially good in like, like turn one, slot one. He has like 90% damage reduction with guard, and he can really hold it down there. But he seems to be not very good in the Festival of Battles event and other like long form content like that. And he's been the subject of a lot of debate recently, but I think he's still like a pretty cool unit, a pretty hype unit. But yeah, I think he definitely is the modern day counterpart to the Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta who released so far back then. And the next character is Tech Beerus. Now, I know this probably looks a little bit odd, but Tech Beerus is probably, his modern day counterpart is probably just himself, which is funny. But this is because, this is pretty deserving, I think, because Tech Beerus, he when he got his Super Easy A, he just blew the roof off the place. Honestly, like he like opened. Like honestly, him getting a Super Easy A was basically him in the movie. Honestly, like he was just like another level of power that like was just like we had not seen for Super Easy AT Wars, and his Easy A has like the giant form and the guarding and the damage reduction. It's like it's so crazy the amount of utility that he has while also just being a defensive beast. And when he came out, like just like several months ago, he was just everyone's jaws was on the floor. And yeah, so the modern day counterpart to him is just himself, which is pretty goated if you ask me. And the next character is yes, a physical Broly. Physical Broly's modern day counterpart has to be the Tech LR Broly. But if you don't want to include Tech LR Broly, there are so many different options. You can look at anything, any of the Brolys that came out last year. 2024 certainly was the year of Broly. Uh, and yeah, this physical Broly, when he got his Easy A, he was stacking defense, which at the time was pretty good for an event like the Legendary Goku event, where everything was about stacking up your defense as quickly as possible. And he was additional supering and everything like that. But nowadays we have so many Brolys. Uh, this physical Broly has not yet gotten a Super Easy A. I was thinking they maybe might do it for the worldwide download celebration last year, but they didn't end up doing it. But the Tech LR Broly, the Tech LR Carnival Broly, he is certainly, just one of the best units in the game, honestly. I mean, he can go Salt 1 and just tank, and he can stack attack, and he's got the active skill. He's, like, of course, just such a great utility and, like, offensive character. And someone who really excels at utility is definitely the Int LR Broly, who has, he's guarding, he reduces damage, he has defensive support, he has a revive, a domain. He really brings a lot to the table to support his team. And then there is the Tech LR Broly, the Tech EZA LR Broly, who is just, when he came out, his damage was just so crazy. It was like so jaw dropping for everyone to see him. Like, this character who's been in everyone's boxes for like years, and now he's doing like 120 million attack stats in a turn. And of course, the AGL full power Broly, who also serves a sort of similar purpose of just being an absolute finisher and an absolute assassin to these bosses who can, the Tech LR Easy A Broly and the AGL full power Broly can just go out there and just, obliterate bosses. So, and this is not even counting all the Broly's who came out last year and have been upgraded. I mean, there's the Bio Broly's, the Int Easy A Broly, the STR Super Easy A Broly, the Broly Chila and Lemo. There's like a ton of options you can say for this guy. But for the next guy, I think it's a little bit less ambiguous who his modern day counterpart is, and it is AGL Super Vegito. When AGL Super Vegito came out, he was absolutely the undisputed best unit in the game. With his counters, it was honestly game changing the amount of damage he could put up. And the modern day equivalent to him has to be the new 10th anniversary Tech LR Vegito, who is so powerful that they actually had to nerf him only for for him only to be in the fight for like 4 turns or something. And uh, AGL Super Vegito did also get a Super Easy A, but this Tech LR Vegito is so good that he even eclipses that. The AGL Super Vegito, um, Super Easy A is pretty good. Like he has damage reduction in his guard, and he can still do a lot of damage with those counters. But the Tech LR Super Vegito is just on a different level. I mean, the base forms of Goku and Vegeta, who can stack defense and offense respectively, just really do well for setting this guy up to absolutely obliterate any boss, especially in the Festival of Battles, the super long 50 phase fight. And he's just it's just so fun using this guy, and he certainly does have like he really honors the Super Vegito like title for being the best unit in the game. And I think he's just too good, honestly, that they had to put him to 4 turns. And the next character is, yes, Tech Gotenks. So Tech TUR Gotenks, his Super Easy A came out last year, and it was like so surprising. He had like damage reduction and dodge, and he was like a really impressive Easy A for the time. Uh, Little did we know we were going to get another Tech Gotenks, specifically Tech LR Gotenks for the Christmas celebration as the Carnival LR, and this guy is so powerful. He is just such a great option for the teams, especially right now, because he brings like a lot to the table. He can go and YOLO in slot one with his tanker die and his counters and his damage reduction and his guaranteed crits. He just really obliterates bosses and can just do a lot for teams and really get the ball rolling, especially with that rainbow orb changing. I mean, he really serves like a great role as a great tech option. And the next character is, yes, Blue Kaioken Goku. Uh, and an interesting thing about this character is the character on the left. It came out, of course, in back in like the between like the first and second anniversaries. However, his name is not actually Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, even though you can obviously see he's using the Kaioken, and this is clearly him from the Universe 6 versus 7 tournament. Um, they did not set his name as Blue Kaioken Goku. They chose to set his name as just Blue Goku, and I believe this is because back then, there was this really powerful AGL Blue Goku who could have paired up with this guy, and they would have just like dominated the game. And we know how they are with like wanting to suppress power creep. I mean, we just saw with like Vegito, they want to limit him to 4 turns, and it was a similar thing back then where they didn't actually give this guy the Kaioken in his name, so he's just Blue Goku. Um, but the modern day counterpart, probably, I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch. It's probably just, the other Blue Goku, the Blue Kaioken Goku. Um, and, when this guy initially released, he wasn't that great. He didn't really have like many defensive mechanics, but he could stack up attack and, drop bombs like it was no one's business, especially in the Legendary Goku event. Oh my goodness, if you drop that Spirit Bomb, oof, yeah, the boss was not surviving. Um, However, when he got his Easy A, oh man, that was like an entirely different thing because when this guy got his Easy A, he was such a beast. I mean, he had guard, so that kind of helped him like tank normals and stuff at the time, but he was just able to stack attack and he was doing like damage like it's crazy. And that Spirit Bomb with the support and the active skill, it was just it was really crazy, and it just made him so undisputed that even players who are more defensive oriented, they have to like give it up to this guy as being like the best easy ATR at the time, and I think it's deserved. Um, Now, since they're not the exact same name, and it's just Blue Goku, there is someone else who could sub in, and we'll get to that a little bit later. Now, of course, the next character has to be Int Buhan, and for this, it's probably just Int Buhan representing himself even 10 years later. Um, so Int Buhan came out, and he was like such a strong character when he came out. I remember Rhyme Style was going crazy when this guy released, and with his Super Easy A now re-releasing in the during the 10th anniversary, I mean, his Super EZA is just so much stronger than the other Super EZAs that came out in the celebration. It seems like the only one who can maybe match him is maybe Janemba, uh, in terms of Super EZAs. But this guy, he puts up like he has like nearly guaranteed crits with the Rainbow Orb changing and just guaranteed additional supers, which is so much better than like the roulette that can happen with characters like STR Cooler who you're just firing off a bunch of additional normals. But he can drop like double super, double crit, and he can tank really well. And I think a character you could also sub in is probably the Tech Buhan that recently released, the Tech Dokkan Fest Buhan, who was also pretty good. But for the Super EZA Buhan, I think he just represents himself, honestly, 10 years later. And I think, you know, that shows a lot of aura, in my opinion. And the next character is course, Tech Golden Frieza. And I think the modern day counterpart to him is probably just the AGL Golden Frieza, who released back in 2022. And an interesting thing about the Tech Golden Friezas, or not the Tech Golden Frieza, but all the Golden Friezas in the game, they pretty much all spec into some damage reduction, whether that be the free to play one from the Broly movie, or the banner unit from the Broly movie, or the various incarnations of Golden Frieza from the movie and stuff. They all spec into damage reduction, and Tech Golden Frieza had 80% damage reduction. His EZA also has the 80% damage reduction, but the AGL Golden Frieza, he started out with 90%, and then that goes to like 80 and 70, and then it goes down by like 10% each turn. Um, and he was like a really, really crazy unit when he came out. I mean, it was unbelievable the stuff he was doing back then. Being able to guard and then putting up like crazy attack numbers. Um, and he hasn't seen much play recently, but I do believe he might get an EZA this year. And once that happens, man, he is going to be running stuff. I mean, 90% damage reduction, like, and what else are they going to add upon that? I don't even know, but I think they're really going to go crazy with his EZA. But certainly, I think the modern day counterpart to the Tech Golden Frieza has to be the AJL LR Golden Frieza, because we haven't really gotten a new Golden Frieza to really, dominate the game. You could maybe include the Golden Frieza included in the Android 17 and Golden Frieza from the Tournament of Power unit, who are really good. I mean, they have damage reduction and they can like really build up defense to really, combat bosses. And that unit is pretty good. But um, for now, I'm probably just gonna say the AGL Golden Frieza for now. And the next character is SCR or Omega Shenron. Uh, SCR Omega Shenron was a crazy unit back in the day, especially in battle or not battlefield, Super Battle Road. His passive, especially when he EZ8, it was really good. His passive allowed for 40% attack reduction, and that really helped in the Super Battle Road, because Super Battle Road you can basically do anything to the enemies. And for Extreme SGR Super Battle Road, he was a really really useful option. And I think the modern day counterpart has to be the AGL LR Omega Shenron, who released in 2023 as the part to the Tanabata celebration. And unfortunately, when he came out, his team wasn't that good. He relies heavily on the GT bosses setup, and GT bosses historically just really has not gotten like a good support like at all. Now he did do well in like one fight. He was pretty good in the AG or in the SGR Blue Vegito fight, where his attack could be reduced, and he had like 100 million HP at the time, which was really crazy at the time. But he was pretty good for that because he does a lot of attack lowering. In his passive, on his attack, and in his active skill, it's a lot of attack lowering, and he has like a lot of utility with the revive and the active skill. So he has some good stuff, but you know I think Omega Shenron certainly needs help, because for the longest time he was the big bad. He was like the final villain uh, in terms of like GT for the longest time. So we definitely need more Omega Shenron love. And the next character is, I should say characters, because I just went ahead and combined two of the Dokkan Fests, the Goku Black base form, and then the Rose Goku Black, who came out back then. And I think the modern day counterpart just has to be the physical Rose, who released early last year. And uh, the physical Rose, who released early last year, he relies a lot on a Super Bosses setup. But the Super Bosses team, like it did get a lot of support, but it wasn't. It still just didn't manage to be a good team. And you know, we do have our physical Goku Black like Super EZA, but it wasn't like something. It wasn't like the Int Buhan Super EZA or the Tech Bureau Super EZA. It wasn't that level of power, just undeniable. And the AGL Rose, he unfortunately has not super easy a'd yet. He did get his easy A a little, a couple, several years ago at this point. But when he released with, physical blue Vegito, it was definitely one of the most hype moments in Dokkan, honestly. Um, so, he does have like uh, definitely a spot in Dokkan history. But right now, Rose has not gotten the best units. It seems like they have not gone back to the well of the Future Saga arc from Super since the 2023 worldwide celebration, for the most part. And it's a shame because a lot of the Zamasu Goku Black cards, really not in a good spot right now. I don't think. But yeah, I think this is probably the modern day counterpart for now because he's probably the best Rose we have. There is the LR Rose, but he's not that. I don't think he's as good as this physical rose because this physical rose has a little bit more stuff. He has the domanias, stuff like that. But yeah, and the next character is going to be, yes, yeah, Extreme STR Cell, Perfect Cell, is now represented by Cell Max. Cell Max, when he released, I mean, it was so crazy. Um, because Beast Gohan had come out for the 9th anniversary, and we just didn't really have this Cell Max, to counteract or, you know, to be like you know, be the Rose to his Vegito Blue in like Dokkan sense, even though Vegito and Rose never fight, but like they're always opposing in like celebrations. Um, but the Cell Max released, and he was initially hinted at because it looked like some kiddie pool that was like overflowing. They had like put that out, I think, like as a teaser for like who the next LR was gonna be, and then this guy released shortly after, and he was just crazy. I mean, he had like. Oh man, he had so much defensive viability, and he even had the taunt, which made him just such a great unit. And he had, oh man, he could just super a bunch of times and crit, and it was really fun using him. And I think yeah, Cell's modern day representation is different. LR Cell Max, who has that amazing active skill, who where he can basically just tank anything, and yeah, he's probably the modern day representation. And we'll have to see if we get a new Perfect Cells anytime soon. But for now, this is the modern day representation of Perfect Cell. And the next character is yes, the Int Sword of Hope Trunks. Uh, yeah, so he's probably just only represented by the physical LR's Sword of Hope Trunks, who came out also during the 2023 Worldwide Celebration. Um, and he wasn't like the top of the pack or anything. He he did his job and he didn't really need to build up that much and he had a standby and stuff, but he didn't really stand out too much. He's I wouldn't say he's that great right now, but he's probably the only character we have to represent the sort of Hope Trunks, and uh, I think, because a lot of these characters came out in the 2023 Worldwide Celebration, um, we're not going to have like the best representation for them right now because they came out with such a big celebration, so they're gonna give some time before they go back to that well of resources and characters and pull from that to release new units. But for now, this is probably the modern day representation of the insert of Electrons. And speaking of Future Saga, the next character is, yes, Merge Zamasu. Both Tech, the Tech Merge Zamasu, the Tech LR Merge Zamasu came out during the worldwide celebration, and he was pretty good at the time, of course, with his insane damage reduction. He had like 80% damage reduction turn one. And he was pretty good. He also came with a domain. I believe he was the first character with a domain in the game. And a domain is kind of it can be almost like a double-edged sword almost because it can it can like do well to like buff characters and buff your stats, but it also kind of ages the character out a little bit quicker because if a better domain comes out, you can't like just go into another domain if another one's up. So you always have to pick and choose which one you'd like to go into. And his domain is pretty good to make him just invincible and he can nullify any attack. But it makes him not the best like in terms of synergy with characters who also have domains. Characters who come to mind are like the AGL Full Power Broly from the Super Broly movie. He has a domain, and they're both in the Super Bosses movie, and and even like the Physical Rose, he also has a domain. It's like it's way too many domains clashing, I think. But he's probably the modern day representation of the tech Murzumasu, who these characters, for a lot of them have not gotten their super easy yet. But when he does, I really do hope these super easy A's come in clutch to help out the Future Saga team. And another Future Saga, because we're still not done, they were spamming these back then, is the Int Blue Vegeta, uh, which is it might seem a little bit weird, him being compared to the Blue Goku and Vegeta, but this is probably the best comparison we have because this in Blue Vegeta, he came out and he was definitely like he represents like a really cool moment from the series of Vegeta just pummeling Goku Black and just talking all that crap. And I think the modern day counter example to him is probably the Tech Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta from the Broly movie, who just got their EZAs as part of the seventh anniversary EZAs. And man, these guys are just they're honestly like when their EZA got announced, I was I didn't I didn't know how they were gonna make them like better than every unit in the game. And they did. I mean, of course, besides like the other 10th anniversary LRs, but specifically like the Super Gogeta and the Super Vegeta. But when this unit came out, oh my goodness, it was man, they're just they dominate like every event. They can like tank slot one and just like nobody else, and they can like stack up so fast. They're greatly stacking attack and defense, and it makes them really good in like the hardest fight right now, which is probably the Festival of Battles, and it just makes them like such a great unit for that fight. And I think another unit who you could say is also represented here is the AGL Kaioken Goku, who doesn't have Kaioken in his name, so he's just Blue Goku. So he can also be represented by this character as well. So AGL Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku and the Int Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta are represented by this character right here, and I think it's a great representation because this character dominates everything, and they're on top of the world right now. So it's really cool to see that these characters who are beloved from the seventh anniversary are really getting the love right now, and it's amazing to see. And the next character as part of the second anniversary of Dokkan is Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Yeah, when Super Saiyan 4 Goku came out, the STR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he was the best unit in the game, honestly. I mean, he was just like he would super attack and just bars off the enemy's health would just disappear. I mean, he was just such a fun unit, and he was just so cool in his leader skill. Finally introducing the 120% mono type leader skills in Dokkan. It was just it was really a special time, I thought. And it was he's so sick, and I think the modern day example of him has to be the AGL LR Goku, who we just got, AGL LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who is transforming from the Super Saiyan 3 GT Goku, who goes into the Golden Great Ape, and then goes into him. And this character is really, really good. I mean, like at the beginning of the anniversary, the 10th anniversary, he was able to carry the Great Ape Power Team on his back with, his damage reduction support, his attack and defensive support from super attack, his healing. The Giant Ape has like so much utility in that, and I think we're going to be getting a lot of Giant Ape power buffs for this year. And yeah, this character, I think Super Saiyan 4 Goku is really well represented right now, and we'll get into another way he's probably represented. But first, let's talk about the character who accompanied this guy in the second anniversary, and that is, yes, AGL Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And he is represented by, of course, the new seventh anniversary EZA of the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Um, and it's the same thing with the seventh anniversary EZAs of the Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta. These characters, they the seventh anniversary EZAs, they can just go in slot one, they can tank, and they can just really get the job done, and they can stack up attack, and they're greatly stacking, and they can just unleash this like crazy active skill which can just destroy enemies, and they have the attack break, and they're just releasing like so much damage while being like so like defensively like such beasts. And it's like a really great representation for the second anniversary Super Saiyan 4s. Uh, through the seventh anniversary EZAs. The Super Saiyan 4s from the second anniversary have gotten their EZAs, not their Super EZAs. But and this AGL Vegeta, he hasn't really been featured in too many characters right now. The last time I believe Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was part of a card, a newly released card, was probably the 8th anniversary LR. So there's not really much to represent Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta by, because you know, SGR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, he got his reimagining with the AGL LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but Vegeta hasn't really gotten his own like standalone Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta anytime recently. But if you combine these two, they're definitely represented by this character who can just go into any event and just dominate and obliterate the boss. Um, but yeah, let me know if I missed anything or if you guys would do anything differently. I think this is a pretty good list, but let me know in the comments if you guys see anything that you would change, or who you would have represent differently the characters from back then that are in this list. But yeah, do let me know, and if you enjoyed, please do subscribe. Please like the video, and yeah, until next time.